My son called, "Mom, come urgently. I'm in the hospital." I dropped everything and came, but he wasn't there. When I returned home, I saw that my house was empty and all valuable things were stolen. I called my son and asked, "Good day, dear listeners. It's Clara again. I'm glad you're here with me. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end and let me know which city you're listening from. That way I can see how far my story has traveled. For 63 years, I had built my life brick by brick. My small house on Maple Street wasn't much to look at from the outside, but inside, it held everything I had worked for. The antique clock my late husband, Robert, had given me on our 20th anniversary. My grandmother's silverware that had crossed the ocean from Ireland. The pearl necklace I had saved for 3 years to buy myself after Robert passed. These weren't just things. They were my history, my memories, my proof that I had lived and loved and survived. I had raised 3 children in that house. My daughters, Patricia and Susan, had long since moved to other states with their families. But my son, Michael, my youngest, my baby, he stayed nearby. Or so I thought that was a blessing. Michael had always been different from his sisters. Patricia was a nurse, responsible and steady. Susan taught elementary school, patient and kind. But Michael? Michael drifted. One business idea after another, each one requiring, "Just a little help, Mom." I had helped, of course. What mother wouldn't? A few thousand here for a food truck venture that never materialized. 5,000 there for a cryptocurrency investment that vanished. I told myself he just needed time to find his footing. The phone call came on a Tuesday afternoon in late October. I was preparing my afternoon tea, the kettle just beginning to whistle, when my cell phone rang. Michael's name flashed on the screen. "Mom?" His voice sounded weak, strained. "Mom, you need to come. Please. I'm at St. Mary's Hospital. There's been an accident." My heart stopped. The kettle screamed behind me, but I barely heard it. "What happened? Are you hurt?" I can't explain now. Just come, please. Emergency room. Hurry." The line went dead. My hands shook as I grabbed my purse and keys. I didn't even turn off the stove. St. Mary's was 40 minutes away, but I made it in 30, my mind racing through every terrible possibility. A car accident? A fall? My baby boy, hurt and alone. I burst through the emergency room doors, breathless. "Michael Thompson," I told the receptionist. "My son. He called me. Where is he?" She typed into her computer, her face blank. "I'm sorry, ma'am. We don't have anyone by that name registered today." "That's impossible. He just called me. Check again. Please." She checked, then checked again, then called a supervisor. Nothing. No Michael Thompson had been admitted, treated, or even signed in. "Maybe he went to a different hospital?" the receptionist offered gently, seeing my distress. I called his phone. Straight to voicemail. I called again. And again. Nothing. A cold feeling began to spread through my chest. Something was wrong. Very wrong. I drove home in a daze, my mind refusing to accept what my gut already knew. Maybe there was a reasonable explanation. Maybe he had been confused, disoriented from pain. Maybe he had given me the wrong hospital. But when I pulled into my driveway at 6:47 p.m., I knew. The front door was slightly ajar. I always locked it. Always. I pushed it open slowly. "Hello?" Silence. The living room looked strange, somehow hollow. It took my brain a moment to understand what my eyes were seeing. The antique clock was gone from the mantel. The empty space where it had sat for 30 years seemed to scream at me. I walked further inside, my legs mechanical, my mind floating somewhere above my body. The china cabinet, Empty. The silverware drawer. Empty. My jewelry box from the bedroom, gone entirely. The TV, the laptop Patricia had bought me last Christmas, even the good winter coats from the hall closet. I stood in the center of my living room, turning in slow circles. They had taken everything of value, every single thing. And then I saw it. My phone. My landline phone sitting on the side table. It still worked. They had left it. I picked it up with trembling fingers and dialed the number I had called so many times over the years. The number that had once brought me comfort. Michael answered on the third ring. "Hi, Mom." His voice was casual, normal, like nothing had happened. "Where are you?" I asked quietly. "Home. Why? Were you ever at St. Mary's Hospital today?" A pause, just a heartbeat too long. "Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry. False alarm. I thought I was having a heart attack, but it turned out to be just anxiety. They sent me home before you got there. I tried calling you back." Every word was a lie. I could hear it now, the hollowness beneath his voice. "I see," I said softly. "I'm glad you're all right." "Yeah, thanks. Listen, I gotta go." "Michael," I interrupted. "Did you rob me?" The silence that followed told me everything I needed to know. He hung up. Of course he hung up. I stood there with the dead phone in my hand, and something inside me cracked. Not broke. Cracked. Like ice on a frozen lake, the kind of crack that spreads slowly, inevitably, until everything shatters. I sat down on my couch. Thank God they had left the furniture, probably too heavy to move quickly, and forced myself to breathe. In, out, in, out. Then I made a list. I had always been a list maker. Robert used to tease me about it. "Martha," he'd say, "you'd make a list for making lists." But lists brought order to chaos. And right now, I needed order. I walked through each room with a notebook and pen, documenting everything that was gone. The antique clock, estimated value $3,000. Grandmother's silverware, irreplaceable, but insured for $5,000. The pearl necklace, $2,800. My mother's gold wedding band that I had worn on my right hand since she passed. Priceless. Robert's coin collection, $4,500. The laptop, $1,200. On and on it went. By the time I finished, the total came to approximately $31,000 in insured items, plus countless things that held only sentimental value. But how do you put a price on a lock of your child's baby hair in a silver locket? How do you value the handwritten recipe cards from your mother? I sat at my kitchen table. They had left the kitchen table too, and felt something I hadn't felt since Robert's funeral 5 years ago. Utterly, completely alone. But then, beneath the grief, I felt something else stirring. Anger. Not the hot, explosive kind. Cold anger. Calculated anger. The kind that doesn't cloud judgment, but sharpens it. My son had robbed me. My own son. He had used my love for him, my fear for his safety, as a weapon against me. He had played on my maternal instinct to get me out of the house so he could steal from me. The question that kept circling my mind was, why now? Michael had asked for money before, and I had always given it. Sometimes I said no to the amount he wanted, but I had never refused him entirely. So why rob me? Unless the amount he needed was so large I would have said no. Unless he was in deeper trouble than I knew. I tried calling him again. Voicemail. I tried 3 more times over the next hour. Voicemail. 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 At 10 p.m., I called Patricia in Boston. "Mom, is everything okay? You never call this late." I could hear the immediate worry in her voice. I told her everything, Every detail. My voice stayed steady, factual, like I was reading from my list. Patricia listened without interrupting. When I finished, there was a long silence. "Mom," she finally said, her voice tight with fury, "tell me you called the police." "Not yet." "Not yet? Mom, he robbed you. He's a criminal. He's also your brother. He stopped being my brother the moment he did this to you." Patricia had always been protective, fierce when her family was threatened. "You need to call the police right now, tonight." "And then what, Patricia? He goes to jail? He gets a criminal record? He's my son. He's a thief who manipulated and robbed his own mother." She was right. I knew she was right. But something held me back. Maybe it was because once I called the police, there would be no going back. This would become official, real, permanent. The family would be irrevocably broken. "Let me think about it," I said. "Give me 24 hours. "Mom, 24 hours, Patricia? Then I'll decide what to do." She reluctantly agreed, but made me promise to call her the next day. After we hung up, I sat in the silence of my violated home and thought, if I called the police right now, Michael would be arrested. He might go to prison. And then what? The items would probably never be recovered. They were likely already sold or pawned. I would get some insurance money, but not the memories, not the pieces of my history. And Michael? Michael would be destroyed. A criminal record, prison time, the shame. Part of me thought he deserved it. But part of me, the mother part, couldn't quite let go. What if there was another way? What if I could get my things back and teach Michael a lesson he would never forget? An idea began to form. It was risky. It would require me to be smarter than I had ever been. But I had something Michael didn't expect. I had time. I had clarity. And I had absolutely nothing left to lose. I pulled out a fresh piece of paper and began to write. Not a list this time. A plan. The next morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. sharp, just like I had every day for the past 40 years. Routine brings strength, Robert used to say. And I needed strength now. I made my coffee, black with 1 sugar, and reviewed my plan. Step 1, documentation. I needed everything official and on record. At 9 a.m., I walked into the Maple Grove Police Department. The officer at the desk, a young woman with kind eyes, looked up as I approached. "I need to file a report," I said calmly. "My home was burglarized yesterday." She pulled out forms and began asking questions. Address? Time of incident? What was taken? I answered each one precisely, methodically. But when she asked if I had any suspects, I paused. "Not yet," I said. It wasn't technically a lie. The officer, whose name tag read J. Martinez, nodded sympathetically. "Was there forced entry?" "No. I believe I may have left the door unlocked." Another careful truth. I had left the door unlocked because my son had a key, and I had trusted him. "These things happen, ma'am. We'll send someone to take a look at the scene and dust for fingerprints, but I have to be honest. Most burglaries like this go unsolved unless we can catch them trying to pawn the items." "I understand. But I need the report for insurance purposes." She gave me a case number and a copy of the report. As I left, I felt the first piece of my plan click into place. Next, I drove to my insurance company. Janet, my agent for the past 15 years, greeted me warmly until she saw my face. "Martha, what's wrong?" I showed her the police report and my itemized list. Her expression shifted from concern to professional efficiency. "We'll need to process this, but with the police report, you should be covered for most of it. It'll take a few weeks to investigate and issue payment, but—" "That's fine," I interrupted. "I'm not in a rush. I just need everything documented." Janet looked at me curiously. Most people in my situation would be frantic, about getting their money quickly. But I wasn't most people. And this wasn't about money. From the insurance office, I went to the bank. I withdrew $500 in cash and closed my savings account, opening a new one that only I had access to. Michael had known about my accounts. He had probably assumed there was more money to steal later. I was cutting off that possibility. Then I did something that surprised even myself. I drove to a pawn shop on the south side of town. It was the kind of place I would never normally enter. Bars on the windows, suspicious characters loitering outside. Inside, a man with tattooed arms looked up from behind the counter. "Help you?" "I'm looking for information," I said, placing a $50 bill on the counter. "If someone were to bring in stolen antiques or jewelry in the next few days, would you keep a record of who sold them to you?" His eyes narrowed. "Lady, we run a legitimate business. Everything that comes through here gets documented. State law." "I'm sure you do. But if someone brought in, say, a Victorian-era mantel clock or Irish silver cutlery, would you call me?" I placed another $50 on the counter, along with my phone number. He looked at the money, then at me. "You a cop?" "I'm a grandmother whose home was robbed. I want my things back." Something in my voice must have convinced him. He pocketed the money and my number. "I'll keep an eye out. No promises." I visited 4 more pawn shops that afternoon, repeating the process. $500 was a small investment if it led me to my property and to proof. By the time I got home at 4 p.m., I was exhausted but energized. My phone rang just as I walked in the door. "Mrs. Thompson, this is Detective Chen from the police department. Officer Martinez asked me to follow up on your burglary case. I'd like to come by and examine the scene, if that's all right." "Of course. When?" "How about in 30 minutes?" Detective Chen was thorough. He dusted for fingerprints, examined the doorframe, asked detailed questions. I answered honestly, still carefully avoiding mentioning Michael. But as he was packing up his kit, he paused. "Mrs. Thompson, I have to ask. The items taken were very specific. Valuable items, but they left electronics like the television in the bedroom, left the good laptop bag, but took the laptop. Whoever did this knew what to take and what to leave. Do you know anyone who's been in your home recently? Anyone who might have seen where you keep your valuables?" My heart pounded, but I kept my voice steady. "My children visit sometimes, friends from church. The plumber was here last month." He nodded slowly. "And you're sure the door was unlocked?" I may have left it unlocked. I sometimes forget." He didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes. But he just handed me his card. "If you think of anything else, call me. Anything at all." After he left, I sat down, hands shaking. The net was tightening, but not the way I wanted. I needed concrete proof before pointing fingers. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Martha Thompson?" "Yes. This is Ray's Pawn on 5th Street. You asked me to call if anything came in." "Lady, I got a Victorian clock here. Just came in 20 minutes ago." "Young guy, nervous as hell?" My blood turned to ice, then fire. "Did you get his information?" "Yeah, license, everything, state law. Name's Michael Thompson." "Don't sell it," I said quickly. "I'll pay you double what you gave him. I'm on my way." I grabbed my purse and ran. Ray's pawn shop smelled like old leather and desperation. The man behind the counter, Ray, I assumed, was exactly as I had pictured. Weathered face, calculating eyes that had seen every kind of human desperation. "That's the one," he said, pointing to my grandfather clock sitting incongruously among guitars and power tools. Seeing it there, in this place, made my throat tight. "How much did you give him?" $300. $300. For a clock worth 10 times that. But that wasn't what made my hands clench into fists. It was knowing Michael had been so desperate or so callous that he sold his grandfather's clock for pennies. "I'll give you 600, I said. Ray studied me. "You said double. That's 600. But you know what? I like you. 500, and I'll give you the transaction record. Copy of his license. Everything. Deal." He disappeared into a back room and returned with papers. There it was. Michael's driver's license photo, his signature, the date and time. Yesterday, 3:47 p.m., while I was probably still at the police station. "He say anything when he brought it in?" I asked. "Said he was clearing out his dead mother's house, no offense." "None taken." I felt oddly calm saying it. In a way, his mother was dead to him, wasn't she? Or he was dead to her. Either way, something had died. I paid Ray, loaded the clock carefully into my car, and drove home. One item recovered. 30 more to go. But I had something more valuable than the clock now. I had proof. I was photographing the transaction records when my phone rang. Michael. My finger hovered over the decline button. Then I answered. "Mom." His voice was tight, angry. "What the hell are you doing?" "I'm sorry?" "Ray's pawn called me. Said someone bought back the clock I sold them. Asked if I wanted to reclaim it. Who else would do that?" So Ray had called him. Probably policy, or maybe just stirring up drama. Either way, the game was out in the open now. "Did you think I wouldn't look for my things?" I asked quietly. "Those things were going to be mine anyway someday. I just needed the money now." There it was. The truth, finally. Not even an apology. Just justification. "So you stole from me?" "I borrowed." "Jesus, Mom, you're so dramatic. It's not like you need that old junk anyway." That old junk was my history. Our family's history. "Our family?" He laughed, bitter and harsh. "You mean your golden girls, Patricia and Susan? They got everything. College paid for, weddings paid for, down payments on houses. What did I get?" "Michael, you need to stand on your own 2 feet. Michael, I'm not made of money." "Well, maybe if you had helped me like you helped them, I wouldn't be in this situation." The words hit like physical blows. Was that true? Had I treated him differently? "Michael, I helped you. Over and over. The food truck, the cryptocurrency, the business opportunities. How much have I given you over the years?" "Not enough!" he shouted. "Do you know how much I owe? $50,000, Mom. 50,000 to people who will hurt me if I don't pay." My breath caught. 50,000? What people? Michael, what did you do? "It doesn't matter. I needed money, and you weren't going to give me that much. So I took what was mine by right. Nothing in that house was yours by right until I died." "Well, maybe you should have died." The words exploded out of him, then silence. Horrible, echoing silence. "Michael," he started, his voice suddenly small. "Don't," I said. My voice sounded like it was coming from someone else, someone cold and distant. "Don't you dare apologize now." "I didn't mean—" "You meant it, and now I know exactly who you are." My hands were shaking, but my voice stayed steady. "You have 24 hours to return everything you stole. Everything. Or I go to the police with the evidence I have." "You wouldn't. I'm your son." "You stopped being my son when you robbed me. You have 24 hours. I hung up. Then I sat down on my couch and shook. From rage, from grief, from the sheer unreality of what had just happened. My son had wished me dead. My baby, whom I had nursed and raised and loved, had wished me dead. The phone rang again. Michael. I didn't answer. It rang 6 more times over the next hour. I didn't answer. Finally, a text. "Mom, please? I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I'm scared. These people will kill me." I stared at the message. Part of me, the mother part, wanted to cave, to help, to save him like I always had. But I thought of the clock sitting in my living room, one item out of dozens. I thought of his words. Maybe you should have died. I turned off my phone. For the next 3 days, I didn't answer calls. I didn't check messages. I focused on recovery, both of my items and my strength. I visited 8 more pawn shops, recovered grandmother's silverware from one, found 2 of Robert's rare coins in another. I met with Detective Chen again, showed him what I'd recovered, but still didn't name Michael. I'm making progress on my own, I told him. He looked skeptical, but didn't push. And slowly, in the quiet of those 3 days, I felt something shift inside me. The crack in the ice was spreading, yes. But instead of shattering me, it was breaking away the parts of me that were weak, that had enabled Michael's behavior for years. What remained was harder, colder, stronger. On the 4th day, I turned my phone back on. 47 missed calls. 32 text messages. Most from Michael, some from numbers I didn't recognize. I scrolled through Michael's messages, watching his strategy evolve. The first were angry. You can't ignore me forever. This is ridiculous. You're being childish. Then desperate. Mom, please. I need help. They're threatening me. I'm scared. Then manipulative. I'm your only son. Dad would be ashamed of you. After everything I've done for you. That last one almost made me laugh. Everything he'd done for me? The delusion was breathtaking. Then I noticed the unknown numbers. I clicked on one of the messages. Mrs. Thompson, this is Derek Stone, Michael's business partner. We need to talk about your son's debt. Call me. Another. Michael gave us your number as collateral. We expect payment by Friday. My stomach turned. He had given loan sharks my contact information? Listed me as collateral? Before I could process this, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw 2 men in expensive suits. They didn't look like police. They didn't look friendly. I opened the door with the chain still on. Can I help you? The taller one smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Mrs. Thompson, I'm Derek Stone. We spoke on the phone, or rather, I left you a message. This is my associate, Tony. We're here about Michael's debt. I don't know anything about Michael's debts. See, that's interesting, Derek said, still smiling, because Michael listed you as a guarantor on his loan, said you'd cover it if he couldn't. He had no authority to do that. Maybe not legally, but morally. Family helps family, right? His smile widened. We know you recently received an insurance payout for a burglary, $31,000. That's most of what Michael owes. You pay us, we forgive the debt. Everyone's happy. My insurance hadn't even processed yet. How did they know the amount? Unless Michael had told them everything. I'm not paying Michael's debts, I said firmly. Tony stepped forward. He hadn't smiled once. Mrs. Thompson, we're not asking. Michael made promises he can't keep. That debt has to be paid. If you don't help your son, well, accidents happen. Nice neighborhood like this would be a shame if something happened to your house. Again, the threat was clear. My heart hammered, but I kept my face neutral. Are you threatening me? We're explaining reality, Derek said smoothly. You have until Friday. We'll be in touch. They walked away, got into a black Mercedes, and drove off. I closed the door, locked it, engaged the chain, and then sat down before my legs gave out. This was worse than I thought. These weren't just loan sharks. They were dangerous. And Michael had led them to my door. My phone rang. Michael. Mom, did they come to see you? Did they threaten you? What did you think would happen when you listed me as collateral, Michael? I was desperate. I thought I'd have the money by now. You thought you'd sell my possessions, pay them off, and I'd never know. But you didn't get enough, did you? Because you sold everything for pennies. Mom, please. They'll hurt me. They'll hurt you. Just pay them, please. Here it was, the moment of temptation. I could pay. The insurance money would come through eventually. I could save him, protect him, make this all go away, just like I always had. No, I said quietly. What? No, I'm not paying your debt. This is your problem, Michael. You created it. You solve it. They'll kill me. Then go to the police. Tell them everything. They can protect you. And go to jail for the robbery? For fraud? You should have thought of that before. I hung up. My hands were steady. Inside, I was terrified. But something had crystallized in me during those 3 days of silence. Michael had made his choices. I couldn't save him from the consequences anymore. But I also couldn't face this alone. I called Patricia. Mom, finally! I've been worried sick. I need help, I said, and told her everything. The loan sharks, the threats, all of it. I'm getting on a plane tonight, she said immediately. Don't argue. I'm coming. Then I called my pastor, Reverend Williams. I'd been attending Maple Grove Community Church for 20 years. If ever I needed spiritual counsel, it was now. Martha, he said warmly when I arrived at his office an hour later. What brings you here? I told him. Everything. The robbery, Michael's betrayal, the threats. I didn't cry. I was beyond tears. But my voice shook. Reverend Williams listened without interruption. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Martha, you've been carrying Michael your whole life, haven't you? I nodded. Sometimes, he said gently, the most loving thing we can do is let someone fall. Not because we want them to hurt, but because it's the only way they'll learn to stand. But what if he doesn't survive the fall? Then that's his choice. You can't save someone from themselves. You can only decide who you're going to be. His words settled over me like a benediction. Patricia arrived that evening, fierce and ready for battle. We sat at my kitchen table, drinking tea, planning. You need a lawyer, she said, and better security. And I need to finish what I started, I said. I need to get my things back. All of them. How? I smiled. It felt strange on my face, that smile. Cold and determined. I'm going to give Michael exactly what he deserves. 2 days later, they came. I was expecting them, had been waiting, actually. Patricia wanted to call the police at the first sign of trouble, but I convinced her to trust me. We had cameras now, installed by Patricia's husband Tom over video call. Everything would be recorded. The doorbell rang at 2 p.m. Through the new security camera, I saw Michael, Derek, and Tony. Michael looked terrible, unshaven, hollow-eyed. The other two looked calm, confident. Patricia stood beside me, her hand on her phone, 911 already dialed, finger hovering over the call button. I opened the door. Didn't invite them in. Mom, Michael said, his voice thick with false warmth. Can we talk? Please? I want to make this right. You can talk from there. Derek stepped forward. Mrs. Thompson, we came in good faith to find a solution that works for everyone. The solution is simple, I said. Michael returns everything he stole. You leave my family alone. We all move on. See, that's the problem, Derek said, his smile razor sharp. Michael can't return what he's already sold. What's done is done. But what's not done is the debt. 50,000, Mrs. Thompson. That number doesn't change. Then Michael will have to find another way to pay you. There is no other way, Michael exploded. Mom, why are you being so stubborn? You have the insurance money coming. You'll be fine. Just help me this one time. This one time? I felt my voice rise despite my intention to stay calm. Michael, I've helped you one time for 38 years. Every failed business, every bad decision, every time you needed just a little help. When does it end? When you act like a mother, he shouted. When you actually love me as much as you loved them. He jabbed a finger toward Patricia. Patricia started forward, but I held up a hand. Is that what you think? I asked quietly. That I loved you less? I know you did. You gave them everything and left me nothing. I gave you the same chances I gave your sisters. They made different choices, better choices. Because you loved them more. No, Michael. My voice was steel now. Because they didn't blame everyone else for their problems. They worked hard. They made sacrifices. They didn't rob their own mother. His face crumpled, but instead of remorse, I saw rage. You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. I robbed you. And you know what else? I'm glad. You deserved it. You and your precious memories and your precious things. I'm glad I took them. I hope they're all gone forever. The mask was fully off now. This was who my son really was. Derek, sensing the situation deteriorating, switched tactics. Mrs. Thompson, he said smoothly, let's be reasonable. You're, 63? How many years do you have left? 10? 20 if you're lucky? Do you really want to spend them in conflict with your only son? Do you want to die alone, knowing you chose things over family? It was a clever manipulation, playing on fear of death, of loneliness, of regret. I looked at Michael, really looked at him, saw the selfishness, the entitlement, the complete lack of remorse. This wasn't my son anymore. Maybe he never had been. Maybe I had just been too blind to see it. I'd rather die alone, I said clearly, than live one more day being manipulated by a son who wishes I was dead anyway. Michael flinched. I didn't mean that. Yes, you did. And you know what? The feeling's mutual. The words hung in the air like a gunshot. Tony, silent until now, stepped forward menacingly. You're making a mistake, old woman. The mistake, Patricia interjected sharply, her phone now visible, would be threatening my mother on camera, which you've all been doing for the past 5 minutes. Smile for the recording, gentlemen. Their heads snapped toward the small camera above the door. Derek's smile finally vanished. This isn't over, he said quietly. Yes, I replied. It is. You have no legal claim to me or my property. Michael committed fraud when he listed me as collateral without my knowledge. If you contact me again, I'll give this recording to the police along with my statement about your threats. Try me. Derek studied me for a long moment, recalculating. Then he nodded to Tony. Let's go. We're done here. He looked at Michael with disgust. Your mother's got more balls than you do. Figure out your own debt. They walked away. Michael stood there, abandoned by his allies. Mom, go away, Michael. But they'll go away. He stared at me, his face cycling through emotions, anger, fear, desperation, hate. Then he turned and stumbled to his car. I closed the door, locked it, and only then did my knees buckle. Patricia caught me. It's okay, Mom. It's okay. You did it. But I didn't feel victorious. I felt terrified. Those men were dangerous. Michael was desperate. What would happen next? Still, beneath the fear, something else burned. Determination. I wasn't finished yet. The recording changed everything. I took it to Detective Chen the next morning, along with all the pawn shop receipts, transaction records, and evidence I'd compiled over the past 2 weeks. Patricia came with me. Chen watched the video 3 times. Each time his expression grew harder. Mrs. Thompson, he said finally, why didn't you tell me your son was involved? Because I needed to be sure, and I needed proof. You put yourself in danger. I'm a 63-year-old grandmother. I've survived childbirth, widowhood, and raising 3 children. I can handle some loan sharks. Patricia squeezed my hand. Chen leaned back in his chair. Okay, here's what we have. Theft by Michael Thompson, clear evidence. Fraud, using your name as collateral without permission. Extortion and threats by Derek Stone and Tony Marchetti. Yes, he added, seeing my expression. We know who they are. We've been building a case against Stone's operation for months. My heart leaped. So you can arrest them? With this recording? Absolutely. They were stupid enough to threaten you on camera. We can bring them in today. And Michael? Chen's expression softened. That's up to you. You're the victim. You can press charges or not. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Michael in jail. My son in prison. I want to talk to him first, I said. One more time, but on my terms. Chen didn't like it, but he agreed. We'll be nearby. Wear a wire just in case. 2 hours later, I called Michael from Detective Chen's office on speakerphone. Mom? He sounded surprised, wary. We need to talk in person. Tomorrow, noon, at the house. I don't think... Michael, your friends Derek and Tony? They're about to be arrested. Extortion, racketeering, assault. They're going down. Your choice is whether you go down with them or start cooperating. Silence. Noon tomorrow, I repeated. Come alone. The next day, Patricia wanted to be there, but I said no. This is between me and Michael. But Detective Chen will be listening next door. I'll be safe. Michael arrived at 11:57 a.m. I watched through the window as he sat in his car for 3 full minutes before finally getting out. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. I opened the door before he could knock. Come in. He entered slowly, looking around the living room like he was seeing it for the first time. The clock was back on the mantel, the silverware in the cabinet. The TV he'd left had been replaced. You got them back, he said quietly. Most of them. Some are gone forever. I gestured to the couch. Sit. He sat. I remained standing. Derek and Tony were arrested this morning, I said. They're being charged with multiple counts of extortion, racketeering, and assault. Turns out they've been running this operation for years. You're not their first victim, Michael, just their latest. His face went white. But my debt. Your debt was inflated. They loaned you $10,000. With interest and fees, it should have been maybe $15,000. They manufactured the $50,000 debt to trap you. That's what they do. They find desperate people and bleed them dry. But I still owe the original $10,000. Yes, and that's still illegal debt. They operated without a lending license. The police are seizing their records. You won't owe them anything once this is over. For a moment, hope flickered across his face, then understanding. But I'll be charged with something else. Yes, the robbery, the fraud, using my name without permission. It's all documented, Michael. I have evidence. Witnesses. Recordings. He slumped forward, head in his hands. So I'm going to jail. That depends. He looked up. I spoke with the prosecutor this morning. If you cooperate fully, testify against Derek and Tony, return everything you haven't sold yet, and plead guilty to the robbery, they'll recommend probation instead of jail time, plus community service and mandatory counseling. And if I don't cooperate, then you'll be charged as part of their criminal enterprise. 5 to 10 years, Michael, at least. He was crying now. Real tears, not the manipulative kind. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. Are you sorry you did it? Or sorry you got caught? He flinched. Both. I don't know how it got this bad. I kept making worse decisions, trying to fix the last bad decision, and it just spiraled, and I couldn't stop. And Michael, I sat down across from him. Look at me. He did. His eyes were red, desperate. You're not a child anymore. You're a 38-year-old man who made choices, bad choices, criminal choices. You robbed your own mother. You wished me dead. Those aren't accidents or mistakes. Those are who you chose to be. I know. Do you? Because for years, I've watched you blame everyone else. Your sisters, me, your circumstances, bad luck, never yourself. So I need to know, are you actually sorry, or are you just sorry about the consequences? He was quiet for a long time. Then, slowly, I don't know. I want to say I'm sorry for hurting you, but honestly, Mom, I'm terrified. I'm scared of jail, of having a record, of what my life is going to be. It was the first honest thing he'd said in years. Thank you for being truthful, I said. Here's the truth from me. I love you. I will always love you because you're my son. But I don't like you. I don't trust you. And I don't want you in my life right now. His face crumpled. But, I continued, if you cooperate with the police, if you actually do the work to change, real therapy, real accountability, then maybe, someday, we can rebuild something. Not what we had. That's gone. But something new. Something honest. You'd give me another chance? I'm giving you a choice. Prison or probation. Honesty or lies. Change or stay the same. What happens next is entirely up to you. He nodded slowly, wiping his eyes. I'll cooperate. I'll testify. I'll do whatever they need. Good. Detective Chen emerged from the next room. Michael jumped. Mr. Thompson, Chen said formally, I'm going to need you to come with me to give a statement. Michael stood, looked at me one more time. Mom? Go, Michael. Make the right choice for once. He left with Detective Chen. I watched through the window as they drove away. Patricia emerged from the kitchen. How do you feel? Empty, I said honestly. But clean, like lancing a wound. She hugged me tight. The trial took 4 months. Derek Stone and Tony Marchetti were prosecuted first. Michael testified against them, detailing the predatory lending, the threats, the extortion scheme that had trapped dozens of people like him. He was calm on the stand, factual, honest. I watched from the gallery, surprised by his composure. Maybe the consequences were finally teaching him something. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Derek got 12 years. Tony got 10. As they were led away in handcuffs, Derek shot one last venomous look at Michael. My son didn't flinch. Michael's own trial was quieter, sadder. He pleaded guilty to burglary, fraud, and theft. The prosecutor, true to her word, recommended probation. But she didn't hold back on the victim impact statement. When it was my turn to speak, I stood before the judge and told the truth. Your Honor, Michael is my son. I love him. But love doesn't mean enabling destruction. He violated my home, my trust, and my sense of safety. He used my maternal instinct as a weapon against me. Those aren't the actions of someone who temporarily lost their way. Those are the actions of someone who has consistently chosen the easy wrong over the hard right. I turned to look at Michael. He was staring at his hands. I don't want him in jail. Prison won't fix what's broken in him. But I do want accountability. Real accountability. So I'm asking the court for probation with strict terms. Mandatory therapy twice a week for 2 years. Community service. Random drug testing. And a restraining order keeping him away from me for at least 1 year. The courtroom stirred. A restraining order against her own son? Michael needs to learn to stand on his own. to face consequences, to build a life that doesn't depend on me. The best thing I can do for him now is step away and let him grow up." The judge was a woman in her 60s, stern but fair. She looked at Michael over her glasses. "Mr. Thompson, you are remarkably lucky. Your mother has shown you more mercy than you showed her. 5 years probation, 200 hours community service, mandatory therapy, random drug testing, and you will stay away from your mother until she decides, if she ever decides, that she wants contact. If you violate any term, you'll serve the full sentence. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Honor," Michael whispered. "I hope you do. Because the next time you appear before me, and there better not be a next time, I won't be so lenient." Court dismissed. Patricia hugged me as we left the courthouse. "You did it, Mom. It's over." But there was one more thing I needed to do. I went back to every pawn shop, every antique dealer, every place I'd searched. With the police report and court judgment, I had legal grounds to reclaim anything provably mine that hadn't been sold out of state. I got back the clock, the silverware, 6 of Robert's coins, 3 pieces of my mother's jewelry, and even the pearl necklace. It had been at a high-end consignment shop, too expensive for anyone to buy yet. What I couldn't get back physically, the insurance paid for. The total payout was $28,000. I used it to upgrade my home security, put the rest in a trust for my future grandchildren, Patricia's kids, not Michael's, if he ever had any. I changed my locks, changed my bank accounts, updated my will, explicitly stating Michael would receive nothing unless he completed 5 years of therapy and had no criminal activity. My lawyer, yes, I got a lawyer, helped me establish clear boundaries. No financial support, no co-signing, no emergency loans. If Michael wanted a relationship with me, it would be based on honesty and mutual respect, not money. The weeks after the trial were strange, quiet. Sometimes I'd wake up and forget, for just a moment, that everything had changed. Then I'd remember and feel the weight of it. But I also felt something unexpected. Relief. For 38 years, I'd been carrying Michael's burdens, his failures, his debts, his problems. I'd told myself that's what mothers do. But I'd been wrong. I hadn't been helping him. I'd been enabling him. Now, for the first time, I was free. And he was free to become whoever he was going to be, with or without me. One evening, about 2 months after the trial, my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. A new habit. Michael stood there, holding flowers. He saw the camera, looked directly into it. "Mom, I know I'm not supposed to be here. I'm breaking the restraining order, but I'm leaving tomorrow for Arizona. There's a rehab facility there, 90 days. I saved up the money myself. I wanted you to know, and I wanted to say I'm sorry, really sorry. Not because I got caught, because I hurt you." He set the flowers down on the doorstep and walked away. I watched him go. Didn't open the door, didn't call out. But later, I brought the flowers inside, put them in water. Maybe someday there'd be room for forgiveness, but not today. Today, I was enough. My life was enough, and that was victory. A year passed, like turning a page. I didn't realize how much energy I'd been spending on Michael until I stopped. Suddenly, I had time, energy, mental space for things other than worry. I joined a book club at the library, started painting again, something I hadn't done since Robert died. Watercolors, mostly. I wasn't very good, but it filled my Tuesday afternoons with color and conversation. Patricia visited twice a month, sometimes bringing her kids. We'd have dinner, play board games, talk about everything and nothing. It was easy, uncomplicated, the way family should be. I renovated the house. New paint in the living room, a warm cream instead of the old beige. I turned Robert's old office into an art studio. The room that held so many memories of him planning and dreaming became a place where I could create my own dreams. The ladies at church threw me a birthday party for my 64th. Reverend Williams gave a toast. To Martha, who taught us that it's never too late to choose yourself. I cried. Happy tears for once. My finances stabilized. Without Michael's constant emergencies, I could actually save money. I built up a proper emergency fund, even began planning a trip to Ireland with Patricia to see where my grandmother's silverware had come from. Some days I didn't think about Michael at all. Other days I wondered where he was, how he was doing. But I didn't reach out. The restraining order had expired, but I maintained the boundary myself. Then, one Saturday, I ran into Helen Brennan at the grocery store. "Martha, have you heard about Michael?" She lowered her voice. "He's living in Arizona now, working at that rehab facility where he was a patient. He's a counselor, helps other people with addiction and debt problems." I couldn't believe it. Later, I looked him up online. There he was, Michael Thompson, recovery counselor at Desert Hope Rehabilitation Center. His photo showed someone older, calmer, healthier. A testimonial said, "Mike saved my life. He understood what I was going through because he'd been there. He didn't judge. He just helped." I closed the laptop. Felt something complicated in my chest. Pride, relief, sadness that he'd needed to go so far away to find himself. But I still didn't call. Meanwhile, Derek Stone was having a very different experience. In prison, he was just another inmate. His assets seized, his operation dismantled, his wife divorced him, took the kids, moved across the country. Tony Marchetti fared worse. He'd made enemies in prison. Loan sharks aren't popular among their victims. He'd been attacked twice, spent months in the prison hospital. The other victims in Derek's scheme filed a class action lawsuit. Their lives were rebuilding. One woman, Sandra Kim, reached out to thank me. "If you hadn't stood up to them, I never would have had the courage. You saved me." I hadn't thought of it that way. I'd just been trying to save myself. But maybe that's how it works. When you save yourself, you give others permission to do the same. One afternoon, I got a letter. Arizona postmark. "Mom, I don't expect you to respond. I just wanted you to know I'm okay. I've been sober for 14 months. I have a job I care about. I'm helping people who were like me, lost, desperate, making terrible choices. I think about you every day, about what I did. I'm ashamed of that person, but I'm trying to be someone different now, someone you might be proud of even if you never want to see me again. Thank you for not giving up on me by putting me in jail. And thank you for giving up on me enough to make me save myself. I love you, Michael." I read it 3 times, cried a little, then filed it away in a box in my closet. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe someday we'd talk. But not today. Today, I had a painting class. Tomorrow, lunch with Patricia. Next week, my trip to Ireland. My life was full. Not perfect, but mine. And that was more than enough.